The first step is to cut the two runners for the sled. I'm using 3/4 inch pine and cutting 2 1/2 inch strips. This will fit my table saw perfectly. Next I will cut the plywood to length. I will include the dimensions in the description. I'm using some 3/4 inch plywood that I had left over from another project. Now I will attach the rails to the plywood I just cut. I'm using some small washers to lift the rails just a little bit so I can glue them onto the plywood. I will butt the plywood up against the fence so it will be at the perfect angle when the glue dries. I'll just add a little weight to the top until the glue dries then. Once the glue dries, I will also add some 1-inch brad nails just to secure things a little better. Now I will run the 2 edge pieces through the joiner. This will make them perfectly flat when I attach them to the plywood base. Next, I will draw out how I want the main edge piece to be. I will have the center raised for 2 reasons. 1, so I can raise the saw blade higher for thicker pieces I will cut. Also, I'm laying it out in a way where my hands will be clear of the saw blade when I am using it. And here's a rough sketch of what it will look like. Now I'll cut the edge pieces first using the table saw. The 2 angled pieces I will just cut quickly with my jigsaw. Next I'll use a roundover bit to smooth out everything. This isn't completely necessary but makes for a better finished product. And here you can see the rounded edges. I will pre-drill hole locations for attaching the edge pieces. I will also countersink them so the screws don't rub against the table saw fence. Now I will glue and brad nail the edge pieces to the plywood base. I don't want to screw anything in yet, so I can adjust it for square after I run it through the table saw. I'll make a quick pass through the table saw, and then I'll be able to take a square to make sure the end pieces are perfectly 90 degrees before screwing everything down. I'm using 2-inch screws to lock everything in place. There are a few rough edges, so I will just smooth everything up with some 120 grit sandpaper. Now I can try it out and get my perfect 90-degree cut.